Earlier this week, I had one of those days, and by that I mean a day that turned into nothing but an unending series of interruptions. And I wanted to talk about it because I'm sure you've had those kinds of days. You might be having those kinds of days right this moment. And this is something that my executive clients deal with on a really regular basis as well. And it's really frustrating because you're at that point in your career where it shouldn't have to be that way, where you know that you should be able to control your time and that you should be able to focus on the things that really need to be focused on. So what have I learned through my own long process of trial and error and also through working with these clients? Well, what I've learned is that interruptions can be divided into two broad categories, and that it's important to identify which kind of interruption it is because each one gets dealt with in a very different way. So the first type of interruption is the true interruption. This is the time waster. So this is what happens when you get pulled into a meeting for an hour that you didn't need to be part of in the first place, or when you are distracted from what you're trying to do by your emails or your texts or your instant messages. The second type of interruption, however, is different, even though it feels exactly the same at the start. And it feels the same because it's also stopping you from doing what it was you were trying to do. But these are interruptions that are truly part of your job. So this could include giving an employee a decision or an approval so that they can move forward with what they're doing, or this could include having to take a call from a really critical client even though it's not scheduled. And once you know which bucket your interruptions land in, you have to treat them in very different ways. So with the first group, with the real interruptions, it's all about reducing and eliminating. So you can do this in a lot of ways. Some examples would be delegating, empowering your employees, or setting up a system that stops you from being interrupted in the first place. The second group, however, can't be eliminated, nor should it be, because it really is part of your job. So there are two things I would suggest to deal with those kinds of interruptions. The first is, as you're having this experience, as you're being interrupted, do a little bit of a debrief each time and figure out, could that interruption have been predicted or scheduled even incrementally better than it was? You'll find that a lot of them can be. And the second thing is to recognize that these things are going to happen. These interruptions are going to come up. You're going to have to deal with them and build them into your day. So this was really the game changer for me. I'm an optimistic person who usually jam-packs my day full of tasks and activities to be done. But once I realized that I probably spent about 2 hours per day on these interruptions that were really critical and that I needed to deal with, I started just scheduling less into my day, scheduling my day for 6 hours so that when these things came up, I had enough buffer to deal with them. So I'm interested to hear from you. What is one kind of interruption that is really part of your job, and how could you look at it differently to make sure that you can be as effective as possible? Let me know in the comments.